Welcome back, Super Kinders. I've missed you. All right, I'm going to continue on with our chapter book, Bunny W. We're in Trouble. We've already listened to chapters 1 through 4, so we'll go ahead and move on to chapter 5. Remember, as I'm reading, those parts of a story that you need to be paying attention to. So, who are the characters? What is the setting? That's when and where the story takes place over these next couple chapters. And is there a problem in the story? What's the main idea of the story? What's it all about? And can you retell the story of beginning, middle, and end of the next couple chapters? So here we go. Chapter 5, The Little Monsters. Everybody cheered when Mayor Hubble finished his speech. I wasn't sure if we were cheering because it was such a good speech or because it was over. Some guys rolled the red carpet back up and took away the podium. And now, said Mr. Hubble, I would like to introduce our hostess for the day, my lovely wife, Bubbles. Bubbles? Hubble? Mrs. Bubbles came running over. She looked like one of those ladies in a shampoo commercial who twirls her hair around in slow motion. Mrs. Bubbles had on a red dress and high heels. She gave the mayor a big kiss and told him how happy she was to see him again. Ugh. Ooh, disgusting. Hey, everybody, Mrs. Bubble announced. Thanks for coming today. Are you ready for our annual egg roll? Egg roll, I shouted. Yippee! I love Chinese food. Not that kind of egg roll, you silly goose, Andrea said to me, rolling her eyes. In an egg roll, Andrea said to me, rolling her eyes, in an egg roll, you roll eggs. I knew that. I lied. Apparently, an egg roll is when a bunch of kids roll eggs along the grass. The first one to finish the egg across the finish line is the winner. If you ask me, that had to be one of the silliest contests in the history of the world. What's the point of rolling an egg around somebody's yawn? What is the point of rolling an egg around somebody's lawn? I'm not doing that, said Michael. That's for little kids. Me neither, said Ryan and Neil. Andrea and Emily said they didn't want to get dirt on their brand new dresses. The winner of the egg roll will receive a prize, announced Mrs. Bubbles. The first child to push his or her egg across the finish line will receive a wooden egg personally autographed by Mayor Hubble and me. Mrs. Bubble held up the wooden egg. Wooden egg? Alexia whispered to me. Where do you think she got a wooden egg? From a wooden chicken, I guess. Alexia and I decided that it would be cool to win a wooden egg. We went over to the starting line. So did about 1 million first graders. Look at these little munchkins, I whispered to Alexia. No way they're going to beat us. This is going to be a piece of cake, said Alexia. I didn't know what cake had to do with anything. Why is everybody always talking about cake? Mrs. Bubbles gave each of us a plastic egg and a long spoon. Then we went over to the starting line. Okay, is everybody ready? Said Mrs. Bubbles. On your mark, get set, let's roll. I thought that Alexia and I could just push those first grade munchkins out of the way, but it was the other way around. They were like animals, yelling and screaming and pushing and shoving and crying and swinging their spoons every which way. It was like a war zone. Get out of my way, some kid shouted. Watch out! Mommy! Ow! You hit me in the face with your spoon. I thought I was going to get trampled by those little monsters. They were brutal. And they were actually winning. If Alexia and I lost the egg roll, the gang would never stop making fun of us. That's when I came up with the greatest idea in the history of the world. Psst, I whispered to Alexia. Let's just pick our eggs up and throw them across the finish line. Nobody will know. You should get the Nobel Peace You should get the Nobel Prize for that idea, Alexia whispered back. I bent down to pick up my egg. But before I could get it, one of those first grade munchkin girls stomped on it. Crack! My egg was all over the grass in a bunch of pieces. "Hey, kid," I shouted. "You busted my egg." But that munchkin didn't care. She was long gone. Some other little boy monster stepped on Alexia's egg and smashed it. He ended up winning the wooden egg. After the egg roll was over, Michael and Ryan made fun of us for letting a bunch of first graders beat us. I thought Mrs. Bubbles might give us some peeps for participating in the egg roll, but she didn't. "Maybe there's a peep shortage," Alexia told me. "Hey, maybe they have to conserve this peeps," Ryan said. "So there will still be peeps left in 100 years for our children and future generations to eat." "The peeps would be stale by then," said Neil. "Stale peeps are better than no peeps," said Michael. "Can't they just make more peeps?" I asked. "Okay, kid," said Mrs. Bubbles. "Let's all go inside the house." All right. Finally, it was peeps time. That's the end of chapter 5. Moving on to chapter 6. I thought I was gonna die. Not die like D-Y-E, you were going to dye, tie-dye, like a shirt or some pants or a towel. So let's find out what happens in this chapter. Mrs. Bubbles led us inside Hubble Manor. There were separate rooms for the first graders, second graders, third graders, and fourth graders. Me and the gang went into the third grade room. A long table was in there. And you'll never believe, in 1,100,000 years, who walked in to the door at that moment. Nobody. It would hurt if you walked into a door, but you'll never believe who walked into the doorway. It was our art teacher from school, Mrs. Hannah. She never throws anything away because she says everything can be art. Miss Hannah was wearing an Easter dress made out of old pot holders. "What are you doing here, Miss Hannah?" asked Neil. "Are you going to pass out the peeps?" asked Alexia. "We want peeps," I shouted, jumping up from my seat. "We want peeps." I figured everybody would jump in. I figured everybody would jump up from their seats and start chanting, "We want peeps," with me. I looked around. Nobody else was standing. Nobody else was chanting. Everybody was looking at me. Well, that was embarrassing. I sat back down in my seat. "No, I'm not here to pass out peeps," said Miss Hannah. "I'm going to help you do Easter egg dyeing." "What?" "I thought Easter eggs were already dead," I said. Everybody laughed even though I didn't say anything funny. "Not that kind of dyeing," Andrea said, rolling her eyes. "We're going to dye eggs in different colors. It's my favorite thing to do in the whole world." "Mine too," shouted Emily. She jumped up in the air and started hugging Andrea. Everything those two do is their favorite thing in the whole world. What is their problem? Why can't a truck full of Easter eggs fall on their heads? Oh, that wouldn't be very nice. We all sat down at the long table. Miss Hannah got out a bunch of eggs and cups of other stuff from a cabinet. She put a colored tablet into each cup and then poured water and vinegar into the cups. Ugh, the vinegar smelled horrible. I thought I was going to die. Die. Not dye like colors. Dye like, ooh, it was stinky. We put our eggs on these little wire things so we could dip them into the cups. Miss Hannah showed us how we could put stickers on the eggs and wrap rubber bands around them so the dye would only color certain parts of the egg. It was pretty cool, I had to admit. We dyed a lot of eggs. At the end, our fingers were all different colors. We had to wait a few minutes for our eggs to dry, so Miss Hannah had us sing this song called "Little Bunny Foo Foo." Did you ever hear that song? It's about this rabbit that goes hopping through the forest. It sees a bunch of field mice that were minding their own business. And it starts hopping on the head for no reason. That song is weird. We had to sing it about 5 million times. Then Miss Hannah got out crayons and we could draw pictures on our dyed eggs. I'm going to draw a pretty butterfly, said Andrea. Me too, said Emily. I'm going to draw an elephant stomping onto butterflies, I said. Oh, you're mean, Arlo, Andrea said. Miss Hannah started singing that Bunny Foo-Foo song again, and you'll never believe who poked his head into the door at that moment. Nobody! It would hurt if you poked your head into a door. I thought we already went over that. But you'll never believe who poked his head into the doorway. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. But you have to read the next chapter. So, Nanny Nanny Boo Boo on you. Stay tuned for our next video to find out who that could be. Have a great day, Super Kinders. I hope you're enjoying our Easter book so far. See you soon.